Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my method for creating an extreme budget. And I'm going to tell you why I think that everyone should be making one of these and sticking to it, especially if you want to get out of debt. Alright, so why would you want to put yourself on an extreme budget? I think that most people who have a lot of debt will tell you that they would love to get out of debt. But it can be really overwhelming when you're looking at everything and you're counting up everything. It can almost get like an overload, and it becomes difficult to start dragging yourself out. You may say, I just don't have the money to pay on these debts. And, there's a lot of thought process that goes into it. I want to simplify that for you. As y'all know, if you've been around my channel a lot, I like to simplify things, whether it be sourdough or gardening or even budgeting. It doesn't have to be something that's overwhelming. It can be actually pretty easy to see where the leaks are in your finances and see where you need to plug up those holes, and then you can have money left over to actually get out of debt. So the first thing I'm going to recommend that you do, if you are on board for getting out of debt, or if you are, maybe you don't have debt but you don't have an emergency fund. Experts say that you should have 3 to 6 months of your monthly bills in an emergency fund, or $10,000. So whichever, if it's more than that, then you have to add all that up. But you need to have at least $10,000 in an emergency fund, because you never know what's going to happen. And that can seem daunting if you have $100 left every month out of your bills and all that stuff. And so I'm going to talk about that and how we can start chipping away at that as well. But you need to have an emergency fund. So if you're out of debt and you don't have an emergency fund, this is going to work for that too. And so I recommend that you print off a monthly budget. I'm going to leave a link down in the description box. Under this video, there's a little place that says more. If you click on that, that's the description box. And I'm going to leave a link for this. It's totally free. I just found it online and you can print it off. I suggest you print 13 copies. And the reason being is you'll have 12 for the year, because we're just going to go a year at a time. And then the 13th one is going to be the one where you look back at the previous month and show all the money that you spent, so that we can see where the money's going. So I'm going to make, or I already have made kind of a fake monthly budget, and I'm not going to put you all through me writing, and I've got all this stuff circled, but I'm going to go over that with you all. But I made a fake one so that I could show you where you could trim and how you can actually have enough money to get your debts paid off and still be able to pay your bills and different things like that. So I'm going to move you over here and look at this monthly budget. Now, really quick, I'm going to move these. I like to use one of these hole punch things and put my budget in some kind of folder so that I can keep up with it, and it just feels more official and I'm more apt to stick to it if I have it like that. So, all right, I'm going to move you all over here and show you what we are going to do for that first month of seeing where we can cut things out so that we can make our new budget for the months to come. Before we jump into this budget and working it out, I want to tell you about the 4 categories when you're making a budget or an extreme budget. They are non-variable essentials, variable essentials, non-variable non-essentials, and variable non-essentials. So let's take that one by one. Non-variable essentials are things like your mortgage, home insurance, property taxes, car payments, car insurance, health insurance. These are bills that don't change from month to month, but they're essential. You can't just say, well, I just won't pay home insurance so that I can do this. You have to pay those. They are in the essential list. Now there's also an essential list that is variable. That is your power bill, your water, sewer, gas for your car, things like that. That they change from month to month. They vary, but they're essential. So you have to pay your power bill, your water bill, and things like that. So those are all the essential items. Now we're going to get into non-variable, non-essential items. Those are things like credit card payments, Netflix, cable, internet. The bill doesn't change from month to month, but they're not essential to you surviving for the month. And so we're going to put them in a different area of non-essential. Now, if you work from home like I do, and you have a YouTube channel or a blog or something like that, internet will actually go into the non-variable essentials, because I have to have that to do the work that I do. But if you, and I know most people say, no, I have to have it, and I understand that. I wouldn't cut off internet. We had internet when we were on an extreme budget, so we could probably safely say that's a non-variable essential, and I should put it up there. So I will. I'll move that up to the essential items. And then you have variable non-essential items. This is where it hurts when you start cutting these out. That's things like eating out, going to Starbucks, late night shopping on Amazon.com or Walmart.com, or running down to Walmart, your local Walmart, and buying things that you don't have to have, and it adds up before you know it to $200. Those are variable non-essentials. And so now we have our 4 categories. I'm going to bring you over here and look at this. I made up kind of a fake budget, but the reason I want to do this is to show you how quickly the spending can get away from you, and you don't even realize. I hear people say all the time, I have no idea where my money's going. If you'll fill this out, you will know exactly where every penny is going, and that's what we want to do. And we want to find out where we can trim that budget and start tackling that debt or feeding that emergency fund. Okay, this is the budget that I made. I just made stuff up, so it may seem a little weird, but I really wasn't trying to be too technical with this. You put what you bring in up here, and I just put 4,000. I'm just making a number up. Now we have our tithe, mortgage, home insurance, electric, water, sewer. We have groceries, eating out, coffee. What you're going to do is on the first day of the month, I want you to go back in your checking account, pull it up, get this paper out, and I want you to mark down every single penny that you spent for the month. I don't care if it's a $2 cup of coffee. Put it on here, add everything up. So the thing is, those little little things that you spend money on, they add up, and you will find that as you add this up. So add every single thing and make a note of each little thing. And so when I made this budget up, we had, I forgot to put the tithe check in there, so we have $500 left. Or not $500, there was $30 left. So $30 left is just not enough to tackle debt. That is not enough for anything, really. I mean, I guess over many, many years, if you put $30 in an account, it'll add up, no doubt. But let's fix it to where we actually have some money left over every month. Okay, so we're going to look at things. The first thing we're going to look at that can be changed is the variable non-essential items. That is Amazon shopping, Walmart shopping, cable, Netflix, eating out, coffee breaks, going to the movies. These are things that when you make an extreme budget, it's kind of a given that you're going to have to cut those either out or cut them way down. And so I was saying, like, when I me and Casey were talking about it, when I got really loose over the past few years, I was giving Amazon like way too much money. And some of the stuff was essential, like bulk food items, but after I went back and looked at it, I was appalled at how much money I was giving Amazon. And so that has been cut to a bare minimum now, only essential items. And I'm amazed at how much money we are saving just by doing that one thing. It's amazing. We're saving hundreds of dollars a month. And so let's talk about cutting out, eating out. I know that when I worked, that was hard because I liked stopping at McDonald's on the way to work and getting one of those Egg McMuffins and a coffee. Sorry, I hit the camera. Egg McMuffin and a coffee, and that's tough, you know. But if you really want to do this, that's one of the sacrifices that I think really needs to be made. So we're going to, you know, talk about how we can make that a little bit easier in just a minute. And then the coffee, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Now, the shopping, you know, there are people that, and I think I might have become one of these people in the past few years, that it does something to you when you buy things, and it's like a dopamine release or something. And it takes at least a month of cutting that out before you lose that. When you really start seeing changes in your finances, then that becomes a dopamine thing, and then you become the opposite. You don't want to spend money on anything, and so you just trade in that dopamine thing for another dopamine thing, if that makes sense. And so we're marking stuff off that we probably don't need and that we can do without, for the purpose of paying off our debt or feeding our emergency fund. Okay, so I'm going to talk about ways that you can combat this eating out and coffee thing. So I know it can be really hard to say, well, I'm just not going to eat out anymore or stop at Starbucks or whatever. I've been there. I know it's hard. If you have a habit of doing that, it's just so convenient and so easy to let somebody else fix your meal for the day. But you would be surprised, and you'll find out if you take this challenge. You will be surprised how much money, if you eat out regularly, that you spend in a month. It's insane. So what can you do to make it convenient to take food from home or make breakfast at home? Well, there's one thing that can make it completely possible. You need to take one afternoon, and it doesn't have to be hours and hours and hours if you plan it out just right, and meal prep for the week. Now, for me, if I was having to do this now, I would make a whole chicken at the beginning of the week. I would make a pot of rice. I would make some English muffins or bread or biscuits, and I would just maybe chop up some veggies and chop up some cheese, or if you buy cheese already sliced, and just try to get some things that are ready to make. So for lunch, you can take chicken and rice and veggies. That's a wonderful, healthy lunch. And then for breakfast, you could make breakfast sandwiches. If you make biscuits, you can put an egg and cheese on there. And if you want to make them up that afternoon and just wrap them up and they're ready to just grab out, you can either reheat them or you don't even have to. And that will save you so much money so that you don't have to stop and pay someone else to do it. So when you go to the store, you're actually just buying ingredients like flour and yeast and veggies and rice and pasta or whatever you're going to make. It actually will save you quite a bit of money. Now, as far as the coffee goes, there's really no reason to pay someone $6 or $8 for a cup of coffee with these new machines that you can get. Like a Keurig machine is not that expensive, and you can have a cup of coffee in like 30 seconds. And I have one of the milk frothers. It was $20, and you can froth your own milk and then add maple syrup. You can buy these syrups that have a pump on them to, if you are one of those people that I like hazelnut or I like caramel, they have those at the grocery store, and literally you just put a pump in there, put your frothed milk, you have a fancy coffee that you probably spent 60 cents on instead of $8, and it took 2 minutes to make it. So I highly encourage you to jump on the coffee at home gang. There's a lot of us out there that don't go out to buy coffee, which I don't really do coffee like I have done in the past, but I still use my Keurig machine if I'm making tea or whatever. And it just saves money. And it tastes just as good if you fancy it up like that. And so that, I would say a lot of people who go out to buy their coffee have one of these machines at home, and you can just save, you wouldn't believe how much money you would save in 1 month if you start doing that from home. All right, so if we look at cutting out eating out and coffee and online shopping, you can save hundreds of dollars a month. I'm not talking saving $50, hundreds of dollars a month if you see where you're leaking that money. So now what I'm going to do is turn this page over, and I'm going to show you how we're going to tackle getting that debt paid off or getting that emergency fund built up. So let's jump on that one. Okay, so on the back of this sheet, what I want you to do is put all of your debts listed, and I want you to put what you owe on each one. And at the bottom, put your emergency fund and that you want it to get up to $10,000. And then we're going to put mortgage at the bottom. Mortgage is the last thing that you work on when you're trying to get out of debt. For us, it was anyway, because it's just too much. You don't want, that will discourage you if you try that one. So let's say you have 2 credit cards and this is how much you owe on each. You have a Lowe's card, you have balances on your cars. And let's say that if you can whittle down your online shopping, you're eating out, you're going to the movies, things like that. Let's just say you have $900 that you could have left over. That would give you $150 for all of these that you could put on each one of these debts. Now, when you're going to pay extra on a debt, my advice is don't pay it like with the bill. Let's say that your credit card comes out the 1st of every month. I wouldn't do this until the 15th. And that really helps to pay it off quicker because of the interest. So do it mid-month. So let's say that your car payment's due on the 15th of every month. Then on the 1st, add an extra $150. You will be surprised how fast these go down. And you can start a spreadsheet. That's what I did. You can add these up every month and watch them go down. And that really motivates you to tighten up the purse strings. And then you can always keep looking at your emergency fund. Let's see. How many months is it going to take to... oops. So 150 times... Okay, so if you can only put $150 a month on this, it's going to take like 5 years to get up to $10,000. But never fear. Here's what we're going to do. See, like this bill is going to get paid off pretty quickly by throwing extra money at it. So when that one's done, then you take this extra 150, you move it down here, you're up to 300. Every single time you pay off a bill, you mark it out. You move the 150, that's up to 450. You see where I'm going? You just keep putting it to this. Now, once you get all of these paid off, and it's going to take a while. I'm not going to sugarcoat that and make it seem like this is something you can do in a few months. It's going to take a while. Then we're going to move down here. So let's say you get your emergency fund built up to $10,000. You're completely out of debt up here. And let's say you have a outstanding mortgage of $50,000. All of this $900 is going to be extra towards the mortgage. So you have your regular mortgage payment, but then you're going to pay an extra $900 a month. And you will be shocked, because that's what happened to us, how fast that number goes down. I recommend you go to the bank if you don't have this already. Have them add this to your online banking, your mortgage, and you can watch it go down. That's such a motivator for getting out of debt. So this is the system of tackling. These will be your first 3 debts you want to tackle, the smallest ones, and then this one, and then this one. Tackle them from smallest to biggest, and that will get you toward the goal of getting this. And then we can work on the mortgage. Okay, so now you've made your plan of attack. And what you're going to do now is take another one of these. And what I like to do is put the month up here in the corner. And instead of being retrospective with your budget, that from now on, we're going to be proactive with our budget. So everything that you buy, you need to give it 24 hours. Give yourself time to think. Let's say that you say, well, my blender tore up or whatever, and I need to buy another one. Don't just run and buy it real quick. Give yourself about 24 hours to think it through and do research and not spend more than what you have to. Or is there another appliance that you have that can take the place of that, like a food processor or whatever? I'm not saying don't buy it, but I'm saying sometimes if we just reflex shop, we'll spend more money than what we would if we just take some time, do some research, and find a deal. Or you may say, well, I hardly ever use that blender. Let's see if I can just make it get by, with a food processor or whatever. And give yourself 24 hours. Let's say that you go to Walmart and they have this beautiful sweater and you're like, oh, I need that sweater. Leave the store. This is what I've been doing. And think about it for 24 hours and say, is that worth $30? And then go up into your closet and see how many sweaters you have. And I about guarantee that you don't need the sweater, and that's $30. Cut off the budget that you can put towards something else. And I know this sounds extreme, but that's what we're doing. We're making an extreme budget, and we're going to try to tackle this one step at a time. So I ended up starting a new extreme budget for us now. We don't have debt, but I was leaking money like crazy with online shopping, and that has been cut out. I was what is wrong with me? It gives you kind of that release, to feel good. But now I have that dopamine release as I'm watching us stick to a really tight budget, and it kind of switched them out. So now I'm like, no, we're not buying that. No, we're only buying what we have to have, and it makes you feel more in control of your budget. So that is my method for making an extreme budget and sticking to it and getting out of debt or building up that emergency fund. So if you found it inspiring and you're up for the challenge, give this video a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from y'all on this subject. And yeah, that is my method, and I hope that it's helpful for you. All right, well, that's all I have for you today, and we will see you on the next video.